All right. Casey asked, this great question. He says, Pastor, what house was the Last Supper in? Casey, this is a great question and also a great opportunity to try some screen recording stuff, some stuff I wanted to get into. So we've got the Earth here, and we're going to try to track down. Look how you can see the stars behind it. That's kind of cool. We're going to try to track down the traditional place where we understand the Last Supper to be. So you can see here's Africa, here's Europe, here's Asia, and Israel right here on the coast, on the west coast of the Mediterranean Sea, is the crossroads of all of these major continents and major people. So no wonder there was so much that was happening in there. And here we can zoom in. We see Egypt over here, the Sinai Peninsula. Here's the Dead Sea and the Sea of Galilee up north. So this is modern day Israel, and this is the if you went all the way up here to the Euphrates River, that's how far the kingdom went under King David and also Solomon. So this long stretch of land here is Israel, and here's Jerusalem. Now remember, the Dead Sea is as far below sea level as you can get on the earth. It's like 1,400 meters below sea level, and then Jerusalem is pretty high up in the mountains. So this ascent here, I wonder if we can show that. This is a massive ascent that you have to make to go up from the Dead Sea into the wilderness of Judea, where Jesus was tempted, right in there, up into Jerusalem. And you see Jericho. This is actually kind of nice. You can see how the people would have traveled from the Galilee up north. They would have come down to the middle here, or they would have come down through the Jordan Rift Valley to Jericho and then up. So, okay, let's see. So now we're back in Jerusalem, and this is modern day Jerusalem, but we're going to be able to see even from the sky ancient Jerusalem. Look, you can see it here. You see this little white patch? That's because, number one, you don't have any roads in ancient Jerusalem. There's no concrete black streets to look at. Plus, everything is built out of this limestone there in Jerusalem. And you can see the ancient city of Jerusalem there. It's, as we start to zoom in, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, that's the Dome of the Rock, that's right there. And this is the old Temple Mount. Now, before we zoom in too much further, just to get oriented, here's the Mount of Olives over here. That kind of runs down this way. Here's the Kidron Valley, which runs between Jerusalem. And in the ancient world, the Temple Mount was on the northwest side of the city. And so if you can imagine, this would have been the northwest corner of the city, and the walls would have gone around like this, and then down here, all along this mountain like that. So this is the Mount Zion here. And so that is going to be the old city of Jerusalem. But the new old city of Jerusalem, these walls were built by the Crusaders in like 1100 or whatever. And so the temple is now on the southwest corner of the city, but in the ancient world, it would have been on the northwest city. Now that's why when we zoom in a little further, see the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, that's a traditional place where we think that Jesus was crucified and raised. Other people think the Garden Tomb is that place up here. But what's interesting is we say, well, you at first want to say, well, it can't be the Church of the Holy Sepulchre because Jesus was crucified outside of the walls of the city. But remember, in the ancient world, the walls didn't go there. The walls came like this and they went down like this. So this would have been outside of the walls, even though now it's like right in the middle of the city. The other thing that is interesting to note is that there was this region up here, kind of north of the city of Jerusalem, was sort of the suburbs of Jerusalem, ancient Jerusalem. And Herod the Great was building a wall around it, but he was ordered by the Romans to stop building that wall. So it remained outside of the city. Some people think that if Herod would have completed that wall, that Jerusalem would have been able to withstand in the year 70. But he didn't build the wall, and Jerusalem fell. Now, what that means is that when we come down here to this region, we're outside of these city walls, of the city walls, but we find here King David's tomb. It's an amazing sort of thing that David's tomb is outside of the city walls, but it would have been right there in the middle of Mount Zion, in the city walls in the ancient world. And right next to it is a place called Centura or something like this, that is thought to be the traditional place. See how it says Mount Zion there? The traditional place of, there it is, Cynical, the traditional place of the Last Supper. So if we click on it, it'll pull up a picture of it, and you can see what this upper room looks like. Give us a better picture. That's the church where it is, and this is the place where we think that the upper room was when where the Last Supper occurred when Jesus gave out his blood to his people. Whoops, am I still recording? So this is what the place looks like. Now, we were there a couple of years ago, and we were singing. In fact, we were singing the Luther Lord's Supper hymn, and the guards came in and pointed a gun at me and told us to stop singing. And I kept singing to the end of the verse, at least, because there had been some protests just like underneath and around the corner at King David's tomb the day before. So they were really cracking down, and they thought we were singing Luther's Lord's Supper hymn. We were singing that in protest. So that is where we believe the Last Supper was, right there on Mount Zion, outside of the city walls now, but would have been in the city walls then in the ancient world. I wonder if we can see if this will let us. Yeah, you can kind of see, can you see the texture here a little bit? So here's Mount Olives, here's Bethany, and Jesus would have traveled over the Mount of Olives, down through here, up to the Temple Mount, on when he made his triumphal entry. And when Jesus was arrested, we think he would have traveled from there over to the Garden of Gethsemane, which is here on the side of the Mount of Olives, and then been arrested there and then brought back. So you see Mount of Olives, Church of Mary Magdalene. Let's see. You can see the place where there's a couple of chapels, churches all over this place, where Jesus was arrested in the garden, probably right down here. And you can find even down there, it's kind of amazing, very old olive trees. There's some olive trees I think are over 2,000 years old. They're going to be right in here. So that they would have been there to hear Jesus praying, Lord, if it's possible, take the cup from me. But of course that wasn't possible. So Jesus had to go and be crucified. So there you go, Casey. Great question. And we'll see how this video works. This might be kind of a cool thing to do some more Holy Land Tour videos.